I've been looking forward to this introduction in particular for, I'm going to classify a long while now, to a number of respects. And when I say long while, in consideration of music coverage here generally, I pre-buy any material I wish to consult, and in an effort to support the artist. It's the way I choose to go about doing things. With PYRAMAZE, I purchased back in, I think, early June or around then. It's now October, so several months have gone by, and it's not intentional. It's a fair remark to any artist, really, that I'm delayed on covering, and there's many. I consider a wide pool, so some names, just based on the widened selection I have to look at, get shelved for a bit. But better late than never, here we finally are with PYRAMAZE, and one I would say that is quite advantageous on origin suspicion, not only of the European affiliation, of which they are of Danish origin, a bit of a departure point, though, from the typical, in that most names that I come across for eventual ponderances within the European metal world, which is of great advantage, I think, to any metal fan. I've said that many times, and I cover a good share of artists from that landscape. I can't really leave it. I never really want to, because the talent out there is just so expressive. And you'll see, if you've not waded in before, this could very well be your initiate step. I cannot wait for you to have it. Just on suspicion, I think PYRAMAZE, every artist that I've recognized here and every song I've liked, I'm sure by that moniker, PYRAMAZE is going to deliver. And I've seen good word of mouth applied to them. But they don't fit the billing of normally, names coming through my comment section, which I have one of the greatest audience in terms of, it's a self-led journey of exploration within the European metal world, and my audience has been so faithful to give me an endless list of recommendations, and I catalog everyone for eventual consideration. PYRAMAZE has the honor today of approaching, but I don't think they came by way of name consideration in my comment section. It was different, and I'll recognize those points in a minute, but some other factors go in, just so we're all on equal footing in understanding, right? Some of you might also take on that novice appreciation level with their work. Maybe some of you are longtime fans that advance me, and of course I welcome your company. Anybody's welcome from any vantage point. I just hope that we're all ready to humor good work together. That is my core thesis of ambition considering music. It is the first love in my life. It's been for many years amongst the artistic languages. There's an added depth and appreciation that comes by way of permitting paths for mutual exploration, and perhaps, if I can, right, pushing you along prospective routes of successful entertainment, right? That's a hope with me, that maybe you've not welcomed talent such as PYRAMAZE, or a number of other artists I've recognized here, or really anybody, whether it be a familiarized name to me, or in many cases, especially with a European moniker, fresh introductions. PYRAMAZE has that standing today, and perhaps we're taking a parallel journey of sorts in our perspective enjoyment together for maybe years to come, right? As I said, Danish power metal. The third enlistee off of, and not the last one, there's a couple others I'm looking at, and some I think today, in fact, that I haven't listed, but of AFM Records, where we've had certain foundational steps like Metalite and Dynasty, so I can say their catalog has some strength. This is our third debut. Now, points of introduction, like I said, not the typical by way of name mention in my comment section. If you look at their most recent release, and some of you who are familiarized to particular metal talent favorites of mine within the European world, notably female singers, hint, hint, some of you know automatically if you look at the newest album, I forget what track number it is. I think it's the latest one, though, that will be, it's the latest one we'll be spotlighting. It's an encore performance. How great. I set this up perfectly. If you know the name, you understand why I say that. That'll give you a window. Like, that was a point of connection. I think that's, in fact, how I found it. I was considering other collaborative work that she's been a part of. But as well with respect to Epitaph, which we will be investigating broadly. In fact, I've expanded today, in fact, I think 2 more works. Originally, I had planned out 5. Based on some preliminary reviews I'd skimmed, I see an advantage to considering 7. And I'll attribute those numbers when we get to them on which ones were tied to that review that I read about. Track number 9 on this, and our 5th consideration overall in our mutual selection. As I've said with respect to Unleash the Archers, unlike PYRAMAZE, they were, again, not to be disrespectful, but PYRAMAZE just didn't come by way of my comment section. Unleash the Archers has. And as I said, with credit to Brittany Slays, who makes an appearance via PYRAMAZE, this is how I was introduced to her initially through other collaborations, notably first of Mortemia, and I told you there. It will be a necessary pit stop and advancement to our destination with Unleash the Archers. I know some of you are going to be so excited about that. We're finally getting around to them. I'm hoping to initiate coverage of them today. I want to apply that collaborative model again of we're being introduced to Brittany Slays in advancement of a full interaction with her group, right? Following that collaborative experience. So with PYRAMAZE, it was necessary to take our first footing here, which is what I'm doing today, to get to Unleash the Archers, finally, after how long? But PYRAMAZE, I'm sure, will be of equal competency, right? I've seen good word of mouth. I wouldn't expect anything less from not only AFM Records offerings, but of the European origin and power metal bands as well, which is quickly becoming a favorite of mine. My favorite happens to be symphonic metal, but I'm opening up to many power metal groups, including some that I've mentioned previously, like Metalite and Dynasty off of AFM's catalog. I'm sure PYRAMAZE will be of equal strength, and we're going to enjoy them together. So we're about to give that honor to PYRAMAZE with A Stroke of Magic, our initiate work, the second track on the album, in fact. Yes. But I'm sure it'll be a welcome experience. Any artist has been so far, and PYRAMAZE, on prediction, will be no different. Let's see, that's been the staple of every European talent thus far. Hang on, alright. Will the story continue? Immediate strength. A melancholy key settling, but a tragedy communicated, good power metal emphasis. Good riff structures. A bit of a symphonic touch or similarity. The vocal delivery is great, especially that rougher edge. The European equivalent to Brent Smith. Took a minute to figure out, who is that reminds me of? Good development on the chorus. Like I said, light symphonic touch that becomes a little more direct. Those strings, oh. I love that element whenever it comes up. The growth on the vocals is something special. I love the tonality. It really does sound like Brent Smith. Shinedown is who I'm referencing if you're maybe not familiar with the name. But if you know them, I'm sure you can also see the similarity. I wonder what the inspiration was to this work. That hold was beautiful. The progression to that instrumental, that's a thing of beauty. That crescendo of development and that added, that's what I'm looking for. We'll just say development generally. That was great. And a traditional power metal break, by the way. I've seen this in an appearance of a number of groups. You have this pause. It's good though. It's a great fit. This number is incredibly fine-tuned. I really like this one. It's a good initiate introduction, isn't it? As I said, fine-tuned number, deeply respectable. Real strength on body and transformation of a song as it develops. In fact, I want to clarify one thing, possibly. Our third entry into AFM records so far, and as I said, predictable strength. Good introductions thus far in the power metal territory, and PYRAMAZE is no different. You'll notice in the chorus sections, there's a differentiation on timing. When the song starts, there's a duality in how you translate the song. You could either see it in a 4/4 structure, or you listen to the points of emphasis on certain notes and riff patterns, and it comes across as a 3/4. I love when there's that mixture of duality. It's possibly disorienting, right? Basically, try and track along with the song, and your brain gets set in a particular pattern that then shifts on voice. In this case, on 3 different measures. So there's these constant jumps, but your orientation of view changes with it. So there's this evident contrast, again, mixed in with the unity that carries on throughout the entire work. I love that overlay whenever it exists. Dominant power metal strength, good riff choices, great notes, like I said, a tragic mood, beautiful vocals. As I said, the European equivalent to Shinedown's Brent Smith, of a lower pitch, well, with some inflections, yes. I think it does stay more so in that midpoint. Brent can get pretty high. Again, not to draw a contrast of critique, but there is an equivalent to be made. Again, on that tonality, there's a distinct, I'm like, who is that? And it was Brent Smith. Like, immediately, I know I've heard an artist in the American vein that it sounds really similar to this guy. I don't know his name at the moment. I'll figure out in preparation of the next song. Great delivery broadly, but on the fine-tuning aspects of that number, as I said, symphonic tone, that might be stressed on biographical openers, just again to get a first footing. I only saw power metal and rock as attributed. Not symphonic, but there's a light touch of that, especially on the violins and any other strings that are put in a company. And it's subtle, but it's there. Anybody else notice, by the way, in development, and I believe the instrumental going back into that final chorus refrain, the keyboard strikes? Wasn't that beautiful? It's small, but I mean, I notice it. Like I said, strength generally to be believed with European music. And the lyrics as well. This album was released, I believe, in 2020. Yes. So, time frame wise, I don't know. If there has been a declared inspiration on part of the artist, and you happen to be aware of it, feel free to chime in down below, right? Music is rather, it can be open to interpretation. Even just in general, we might pick different things, we might apply songs differently based on how we view them and translate them in our own minds. Still, we keep them faithful, again, to the way the artist envisioned them through the narrative and maybe through the music tone that accompanies, if, again, there is a duality to be mentioned there, but sometimes there is still the opportunity to individualize them. And with this number, I don't know what they mean by a stroke of magic change the world around us, but you understand this, like, transformation of reality. Magic awakens possessive madness. It's driving humankind insane. So at first thing, it seems alluring, and then it becomes a troublesome force. I couldn't help but think, and I know this is a bit outside of the window. I mean, well, not really in existence, but part of me wonders if this is meant to be speaking of, like, artificial intelligence. It's probably a contemporary survey, again, that better fits in the 2023 window. But, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it was around in 2020. It was more so developing, though. And I could see this speaking to perhaps other subjects that are not hitting me at the moment. But I would say it's a song that has perhaps timeless application, right? And maybe you can, again, determine different subjects for yourself, even outside of band declaration if publicly offered. I don't know, I just wondered about that. A stroke of magic changed the world around us. It's true, isn't it, though, to like AI or something like that? It kind of fits. I did see, by the way, in the reviews, and it's part of the reason I bring it up, that there is a real-world resonance to their songs. Some of the other numbers are going to touch into that, in fact, that I've picked based on that review. And I believe, in fact, the next piece, yes, Steal My Crown, that was attached on part of the review. I don't believe based on inspiration, though. I think that's another number that in my mind. Yes. This one, I believe, is just based on the music. And to be believed, since that's... Okay, let me rephrase what I said earlier about this being the second track. It is, but it follows an instrumental. This isn't only apparently our initiate listen to PYRAMAZE, but as well the initiation in general to Epitaph, in terms of a traditional song, rather than the instrumental model. On our first step, that was quite good, though, wasn't it? I think there's going to be a real joy to be experienced with this group on future development, right? As we proceed through Epitaph, and we're going to robustly. So coming off of the stroke of magic, I'm sure the rest of the album will also speak to the same strength. I'd love to hear if that opinion is shared with you down below, right? And as I said, music is individualized in how we approach it, and it is a subjective opinion. So maybe, you see different things perhaps than I do, right? I'd be welcome to any perspective down below and any vantage point. Longtime fan that advances me, fresh initiate listener like myself. What are your thoughts on a stroke of magic? I think it's a good pitch going forward, don't you? I mean, leading into Steal My Crown, which I have read, I'll mention this more, or I'll repeat it when we get to that song in particular, but I did see that also that one has a rough voice. So I think the transition between numbers will certainly be of strength, and present the evolution of Epitaph, but as a first introduction, I liked that one a lot. Didn't you? I think there's a real strength to PYRAMAZE. To be true, again, to the European rock market, that's in general an application that is so faithful. And if that was your first footing, perhaps, it's one of strength. I mean, they've got some good power metal groups out there, and considering the AFM Records attribution, they got a good library thus far of who I've humored. PYRAMAZE is no exception. Thank you so much for watching this video. Before you bounce, feel free to drop a like and comment, subscribe to this channel with a ding on the bell, and share this video with your friends. And consider checking out the description here. There you'll find links to my other channels, as well as addresses to my other social media accounts and ways you can help support my work if you feel so inclined. May God bless you, and looking forward to when our paths cross again.